You know when you're just watching a drummer and they bust out this insane fill out of nowhere and you're just like,
holy crap, what did I just see?
Yeah, we're gonna learn some of those today. Hello, my beautiful friends. Gabe here from drumbeatsonline.com, and today we're learning 3 mind-blowing fills. And each fill is going to have its own theme, which we will touch on in a bit. And we are going to start off from pretty mind-blowing to very mind-blowing, so make sure you stay till the end. But with that said, let's hop into fill number 1. So this fill is played as 16th note triplets, and it's just 1 measure long. So 16th note triplets, we're going to be counting 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and a 4 and a. So there are going to be 24 notes in this measure, and this fill's theme is basically inspired from the paradiddle diddle. So we have a right, left, right, right, left, left. This is a 6-stroke rudiment that you'll find a lot in other fills, including this one. But what I did here is I replaced the last left with a kick. So we are going to insert that into this fill. But now let's dive into the entire sticking pattern for the fill. So we're gonna start off by playing a right on the floor tom, left, left as ghost notes on the snare drum, and then a kick, kick. Then we are going to go into our paradiddle diddle variation. The way we're gonna play that is with a right on a stack cymbal or any cymbal that you have, and then an accented left on the snare drum, and then a right, right as ghost notes on the snare drum, and then a strong left on the snare drum, and then we have a kick. So now we're gonna play that exact same sticking pattern, but apply it to the drum set in a new way. So we are going to play the right hand on the rack tom, left on the snare drum, right, right on the snare drum, left on a stack cymbal or a hi-hat, and then a kick drum. Then we are just gonna play right, left, kick. So right on the bell of the ride, left on the snare drum, and then kick. Then we're gonna repeat that again with a right hand on the bell of the ride, left hand on the snare drum. Then we are going to remove the kick and then just play 2 notes on the floor tom. And then you punch that crash cymbal right in the face and you continue on with the beat because this is a really, really fun fill. So now let's hear what it sounds like at a few different tempos. Check it out. Now this next fill, we are going to take it up a notch, and the main theme of this fill is going to be splitting our double strokes between 2 drums. Again, you will learn more about that in a second, but this fill is played as 16th notes and it is 2 measures long. So now let's talk about how we actually play it. So to start off this fill, we are going to do 4 sets of double strokes, but every time we do it, we are going to split it between 2 drums. So for example, the first right, right is going to be the first note on the rack tom, but then the second note on the snare drum. So you're gonna come from the rack tom to the snare drum. Then we're gonna do the same thing with the left hand. Left on the rack, then left on the snare. Then with our right hand, we are going to go right on the rack tom. I have a second rack tom now, so I can do this, but you could choose to use the same one. and then another right on the floor tom, and then the left hand's gonna do the same thing, left on the rack tom, then left on the snare drum. After that, we're gonna follow it up with a kick kick. After that, we are just going to do single strokes basically around the kit. So right left on the rack tom, right left on the second rack tom, or a floor tom if that's what you have, and then a right left on the snare drum. After that, we are going to play a 6-stroke roll, which is just right, left, left, right, right, left. And the way we are going to play that is with the right hand on the bell of the ride, then a left, left, right, right as ghost notes on the snare drum. Then we're gonna finish it with the left hand on the open hi-hat. Then we are going to play right, left, kick 2 times. So we are gonna have that first right on the stack cymbal, left on the snare drum, kick, then right on the floor tom, left on the snare drum, kick, and then we are going to finish it out with just a right, left, right on the floor tom. So now let's check it out at a few different tempos. All right, so this next fill is my favorite one, and the theme of this is going to be the Swiss triplet, and that's what we are going to incorporate into this fill. And again, you will find out in a second how and where we are putting it. But this fill, again, is played as 2 measures, but in this one, we are mostly playing it as 16th notes, but we are throwing a few 30-second notes in there as well. So let's jump into it. So we are gonna start off with just a right, left, played between the hi-hat and the snare. So we have that first right on the snare drum, left on the hi-hat, right on the hi-hat, left on the snare drum. Then we are doing something a little bit fancy with our feet. We are playing a kick drum and then a pedal hi-hat. From there, we are going to play a herta, which is 2 30-second notes and 2 16th notes. So those first 2 30-second notes are gonna be played as a right, left on the closed hi-hat, and then we have a right on the rack tom played as a 16th note. Then we have a left on the snare drum and then a kick. So again, we fall into that right, left kick pattern that we keep doing in these fills. And then we're going to repeat it again. So you're going to play a right on the next tom over, whichever that one may be for you, and then a left on the snare drum, and then a kick. Then we are going to play the floor tom and the snare drum together with a kick, and then a right, left on the snare drum. And this is where we are going to come into our Swiss triplet, but we're not going to play it as a triplet. So the Swiss triplet rudiment is played as a flam, right, left pattern, generally in 8th note triplets, but in this case, we're playing them as 16th notes. So we are going to play that flam between the stack and the snare drum. Then we are going to do a right hand on the floor tom, a left hand on the snare drum. Then we are simply going to repeat it again. Flam, floor, snare. And to wrap it up, we've got a kick drum and another herta, so a right, left on the rack tom, and then a right, left on the snare drum, then a right on the open hi-hat, a ghost note left on the snare, then we repeat that, right on the hi-hat, ghost note left on the snare. And then right, left on the rack tom, right, left on the floor tom. And again, we do some cymbal punching. So I know that was a lot of notes and a lot of words, but let's put it all together and hear what it sounds like at a few different tempos. Check it out. So if you enjoyed this lesson, I actually have a bunch of lessons and courses on my online drum school, DBO Academy, that not only help you get good at playing fills and beats like this, but I give you the tools to be able to create your own so that you're never left in your drumming rut. And more than that, everything is formulated in a custom path for you based on where your playing is at, so you never have to guess what to practice. You just take the next steps in front of you, you improve, and you see your progress every step of the way in an incredibly supportive community of other amazing drummers just like you. If that sounds interesting, feel free to join the waitlist right up here. You get a free lesson as soon as you join, and you find out exactly when you can join DBO Academy. But thank you so much for watching this lesson. I really appreciate it. You are super awesome. Stay true, and tag me on Instagram if you get some of these fills down. I would absolutely love to see them. Thanks, guys. See ya.